Hey, it's Oscar. As the holidays are coming up, I always loved eggnog during the holidays. Unfortunately, the normal eggnog is made with a lot of sugar, but I'm doing something different and I'm making Keto Eggnog Donuts. So stick along and let me show you how I make them. So we are making the Keto Eggnog Donuts, and so far I have the 3/4 cups of almond flour in a large bowl, and I'm gonna add a 1/4 cup of erythritol. I'm also gonna add 2 teaspoons of baking powder, some freshly ground nutmeg, and so this is 1/2 teaspoon worth. Because of course this is eggnog donuts, we gotta have the the nutmeg in there. I'm also adding a 1/4 teaspoon of cinnamon. And I have some xanthan gum. I'm gonna use a 1/4 teaspoon of that. This will help the donuts sort of get a little gummy and chewy. And I have a pinch of salt I'm using, and that's all the dry ingredients. I'm just gonna whisk it together. And then we're gonna mix the wet ingredients. So with baking, you know, usually they say everything has to be exact, the ingredients have to be exact. That's true. Once you measure everything out, it's so much easier to get everything done and everything just thrown in a bowl. And so I'm gonna whisk that together. You see there's maybe some larger chunks, probably from the baking powder. So I'm trying to break those down. Often people might sift their dry ingredients first. You might want to try that, but I'm okay with this. Now we're going to another large bowl to mix the wet ingredients. So I have 3 large eggs, and I have a 1/4 cup of melted coconut oil. Now it's not too hot. I microwaved it, but it's been sitting out for a while, so you don't want it too hot because you don't want to cook the eggs. So pour that in there. I also have 1/2 teaspoon of vanilla. And I have 1 teaspoon of rum extract. Now you can use a teaspoon of regular rum or rum extract, or you don't have to use the rum at all. However, it truly adds that eggnoggy flavor by adding the rum, and I'm using the extract because I don't want alcohol in my donut. However, if you do, that's fine as well. It's all good. And so now I'm just gonna whisk this together and then mix it with the dry ingredients. Where's my whisk? That's it. That's all I'm gonna whisk. And let's just add it into the dry ingredients. Oops. And I like to use a rubber spatula now. My trusty Betty Crocker spatula. Betty Crocker. Dollarama. So now I just whisk that together. And once it's whisked together, we're going to put it in a piping bag and pipe it out into a donut pan. And the donut pan I already greased. It's a 6 donut pan. And to be honest with you, the donut pan is very greased, and you should do that. I grease mine with coconut oil since we're already using coconut oil in this recipe. I thought it'll add to the flavor, if it adds any flavor. And so I highly greased it. That's top tip number one, is to grease that donut pan. Otherwise it will stick and it'll be hard to get the donuts out. And it may still stick a little bit, but after, when it's baked, you let it cool a little bit, and then you sort of maneuver them out of the donut pan by kind of twisting and prodding, and eventually they come out. But again, heavily grease your donut pan. That is for sure. So as you mix this, you'll first think it's so wet, it's liquidy, but it's thickening up as I mix it, which is great. That's what we want. I would do this for about a minute. Okay, get your donut pan ready. So you can see a lot of the coconut specks from the coconut oil, because I heavily greased my donut pan. Don't come at me later if you forget. So I have a piping bag. I'm gonna put the batter in, and then I'm just gonna pipe it into the donut pan about 3/4 inch high. You want to leave room because they will bake up in the oven, so you don't want them overflowing. So give me a minute. I'm gonna maneuver this batter into this bag. Let's do one just to show you. So that's the height I want it to be. And we're gonna bang it down so it gets all sort of evenly incorporated into the donut pan. There. Just gonna sort of evenly spread it out. And so we're gonna bake this in a 350-degree preheated oven for about 18 minutes. I will confirm once they're done. But that's how long I usually do my donuts, is for 18 minutes. And of course, every oven is differently, so you need to watch it. And then we're gonna do the glaze. Okay, we are making the glaze for the donuts, and so we have 2 tablespoons of cream cheese, 2 tablespoons of butter, 1/4 cup of powdered erythritol, and I have some 5% cream here, although you can use any cream or milk you want. It's just to thin out the icing or the glaze to get it to the desired consistency that we want. I'm looking for a thinner glaze on these donuts. I don't want a very thick glaze. And then I might use a little bit of a nutmeg in here as well, some ground nutmeg also. So let's get started. So first we're going to cream the butter, cream cheese, and erythritol in the same bowl. Now I think the butter is softened enough, but if not, okay. I think that's enough. I'm gonna add some icing. So I'm gonna start, I have a 1/4 cup, but I'm gonna start with half of that first and see where it goes. And I'll taste it. Sometimes I don't want things as sweet, so if I think it's sweet enough, then I won't add any more. I won't add any more of the powdered erythritol. So once that's all creamed together, you simply just add a little bit of the cream, a little bit at a time, until you get to the consistency that you want. you know, you're gonna want to either dunk your donuts in the glaze, or you want to pour the glaze over top of them. I'm more of a fan of dipping them in the glaze, but sometimes when you dip them, they don't look right. So maybe we'll do a test. Okay, so we need a little more. Because again, this is a glaze, not an icing or a frosting. So it's getting much softer and easier to handle. More. And a little more. I'm using much more than I thought I would need. So if you hear noise in the background, that's my oven. It's a convention oven. Or actually, sorry. Well, it is, but it's a... So if you hear any noise in the background, that's my oven running with the donuts. Okay, this is looking better. Just want to get rid of those lumps, so I might go back to the whisk. So I just tasted it. It needs more of this, more of the erythritol powder. Actually, I'm going to put the full quarter cup in. And I'm going to add a little more cream. I think I used about 2 tablespoons already of cream. Still want it thinner. Okay, I think that might be where I want it. Maybe a little thinner. Let me add a little bit more. So I'm not going to add the nutmeg to this. I'm going to just grate a little bit of nutmeg over the donuts once they're glazed. So this will just go on top of the donuts, and then I'll use the nutmeg as a, just grate it over the donuts, just for a little more. effect. So this is thinned out quite well. Most of the lumps are gone. There are some little lumps, but I can deal with that. Yeah, so we'll see. We'll try dipping one of the donuts in here once they're done and out of the oven and cooled. And then we'll see if this consistency is good enough or if I have to add more cream to it. So right now I've added about 2 tablespoons of cream. Again, you're gonna, you know, add more or less depending on the consistency that you want. So I'll be back once the donuts are cool. So I took the donuts out at 15 minutes because they look nicely done. So we're adjusting the time to 15 minutes. I'll note that on the recipe blog. So they're still really hot and warm, but they look really good and done. You can see they're soft. You can put a toothpick in them to see. Actually, let me do that. Where on my toothpick? It's right there. Poke a toothpick in, and if it comes out clean, it's done. So it's done. So we're going to wait. For it to cool. Yeah, we're gonna wait for it to cool before we move these around. Sometimes I can twist them a little bit just to loosen them up, but no, they're in there pretty good. So we'll wait till they cool and then we'll remove them and we'll add the glaze to them. They smell really good though. So pro tip, if you want to loosen them up while they're still a little hot, get yourself a small rubber spatula like this and just go dig in there, not in the donut, but you're just going in the lining of the pan. And you want to go around the donut. This will help loosen it up. However, I don't recommend taking them out yet until they cool completely or they will fall apart in your hand, which we do not want. However, just a quick peek, perfect donut, came out clean, but it's still hot, so that could easily fall apart in my hand. So wait till they cool, but while they're still a little warm, you may just want to give them a little nudge. Okie dokie. Okay, it's time to do the glaze on the donuts. So I've already loosened them up, and so they should come out of the donut pan pretty easily. There you go. Comes out clean. And so we are going to dip it in the glaze here and then put it on a wire rack so that any glaze will drip off. It'll drip off and that's fine. Just a little dip, and there you go. And again, I'm gonna sprinkle some nutmeg on top once I'm done all these donuts. Woohoo! And you can see the little flecks of chunks in there, and that's fine. It gives it a little more texture and it'll look nice once the nutmeg is sprinkled on top. So there you go. And so I'm gonna sprinkle some nutmeg on top. Not too much, because you don't want them tasting too much like nutmeg. And some people might not like too much flavor of nutmeg, but I think they look great. And sometimes you may want to go on the diagonal, so just go across instead of all the way around, just to give it a little effect. See how I went across there? It doesn't have to be full circle, if you know what I mean. And that's it. I'm gonna do the last two and enjoy them. Definitely tastes like an eggnog. Oh my God. The nutmeg. Oh, so good. Eggnog donuts, low carb, keto.